Well, what are we up to today? Well, I just bought myself a new GoPro Hero 7 to go with my old ancient number 5. And I got some batteries. I've got a few spare batteries. Now that it's always time for the postie to show up. But anyway, somebody else will get that. I have 3 batteries here. These are all interchangeable between all these different series. And this is an old battery off my GoPro Hero 5 with a tiny bit of bulging in it, but that's a little bit down on capacity. That's also why I bought some new batteries. Now this is one of the good new batteries, although it was about 10% out of the packet, so that's going to get charged in a bit. This is the one that came with the Hero 7, and that was because it was a good like $200 dues cheaper than the 9, and I don't need a 9. I've been dealing well with a 5, but you can't buy 5s anymore. Anyway, this guy doesn't register at all, so I think it's got below its protection voltage. So before I go and chase up a warranty on that, I want to see if I can make this usable, at least for the bit of real rare opportunity I have coming up. I don't think that in this situation I'm going to be able to get another battery in the time frame between now and when I need to use it. So this could potentially turn into a 5th spare. So I might see if I can hook up to the terminals here and just put a little bit of current back in there to try and wake it up. I have a current protected supply, so I can dial that right down to low current. So yeah, I'm going to get some probes. I'm going to voltage test all of these first to make sure I've got the terminals correct. And this one, the old one here, as you can see on the top, we'll go right center screen here. It has the terminals indicated here. So that is a good start. So yeah, and I know with some of the newer GoPros, like the 7 and onwards, they actually have canned using aftermarket batteries too. So let's get a multimeter out and test what voltages these are all at first, and then we'll go from there. Right, I'm going to prop up my multimeter here, so hopefully we can see what it's reading. And I wonder if it's going to work better with the backlight off. It might actually. Now, hopefully we can see what's going on here. I'm going to need a blob of blue tack here to hold the battery down. So let's take an old one, which I know is charged, even though its capacity is down a little bit. And we will take our probe and drop you in here. And we'll take another little probe here and poke in there. Well, it's not in very well. Let's see if I can just hold this like so. I'm not sure which. I think the terminals are meant to go in that way on these ones. See what we get from there. Okay, so I've got 4.27 volts. That's pretty acceptable if I'm actually against the terminals there. So 4.27 volts, that's okay. So let's put our non-functional battery right beside that so I can use the terminals as reference. We will drop into this terminal and drop into this terminal. And we have absolutely nothing at all. Okay, so that is... That's interesting. I don't know if that's directly connected to the cell, or that might be through the protection circuit. Yeah, I've got nothing at all. So obviously there's a protection circuit in there that has totally cut that battery off. And it's not dependent on these 2 center pins. I don't know what will happen if I feed a little bit of voltage back into here. But I'm going to limit it to probably about 100 milliamps. Just put a little bit of current in there, probably at about 3 volts or something like that. Actually, let's just double check this one again. I think that was about 4.2 volts off memory. We can go back to this and see. Yeah, 4.2. So I figure if I give it 3 volts or something, that should be enough to maybe bring it up. 3.5 volts might be enough to wake up the cell without sort of cooking anything as well. So let's go up to my variable supply and see if we can wake this battery up. Alright, well we're back at the top here to our variable current meter. I'm going to turn our voltage down and we're going to turn this on. Now we need, well, let's say about 4 volts should be about right. We should be seeing that come up here somewhere. Where are we? We have voltage and current setting. That's our current, can go right down to almost nothing. Now these guys go all the way down to here. That should be showing up in there. Maybe need to wind the voltage up a little bit till it shows up. Let's go voltage up. That should come up for sure. There we go. We've got 10 volts showing up here. We'll need to wind that down just a little bit. I think those meters drop out about 4 volts. Yeah, it does. So let's just a smidgen under 4 volts. We don't want to overload anything. We'll go our current. We've got current is at minimum, just up a little bit. Not much current. We don't want to cook anything. All right, let's go and chuck our multimeter on this end and see what we've got coming out here, because it's too low for this self-powered meter to show up. Right, we're going to wind our meter over to the 20 volt range again, and we might use this to hold it up here. Turn on our backlight. Let's hook up our probes up here. It's off camera slightly. Should see about 3.8 volts. That should be enough to jumpstart this thing. I'm going to leave these probes on after they fall off, and we will hook up to this battery. So let's just cut to that moment. Okay, so you may hear my apprentice in the background having a blast. She's just got herself a new tablet. So I'm going to watch our voltage while we do this. So we've dropped down voltage a little bit, and our current's sitting at about 100 milliamps. So hopefully this should be fairly low charge current. I'm only going to give this a few minutes, and then I'm going to whack it straight, or not even a minute maybe. As long as I'll be doing this, you'll be watching this on the camera. But I am seeing voltage start to come up, which means that protection circuit's probably kicked in. So we'll give it a few moments on here. I'm just checking for any bulging or heat. And from there we might be able to drop it into the GoPro and give it a good proper long charge at the correct current rating. So I'm going to probably wait till this gets to about 3.2 volts. And hopefully the degradation, or the drop off in charge, will be slow enough that I'll have time to get it into a GoPro. Alright, 3.2. Let's pull that off and get our GoPro out. Getting our GoPro out here. Sorry about the quick cut, guys, but I want to be hasty about this. Now we have a charger off to one side in this panel. Let's see if we wake up. So it's done its little self-test. We should see a red light come on if it's going to charge. Might need to boost this a little longer. Ha! It's charging! Awesome! Awesome. It just needed a kickstart to wake it up out of sleep. I don't know how long this Hero 7's been on the shelf. It may have been years, so I don't know how healthy this battery will be. But it's recognizing there's a battery in there now. That is really, really handy. So we'll give this a few hours to charge, and we'll see what the battery life's like. Alright, see you in a moment. Well, it's been about a half hour. Let's turn on our backlight here. I'm just going to fire up the interface on this and see if it's detecting a battery yet, which that red light says it is, and what percentage it reckons the battery's at. I reckons it's at 36%. Well, that's good. It's coming up okay. So that'll be nice. Actually, these GoPros have a really nice refresh rate on the back. It doesn't interfere with the refresh rate of the camera that I'm using for this. So that's not too bad. So in half an hour, it's come up 36%. That's roughly in keeping with what I normally expect it to charge at. The body of this is actually kind of warm. This is my old Hero 5. I wasn't going to experiment with the new 7. But that is pretty typical of it charging. Now we can see here I have both GoPros charging and a few other things going, and I'm pulling about 1.3 amps on the 12 volt side of things. And this is using linear regulators to come down, so that's pretty keeping. So we are getting some charge current through it. And this is off a solar system as well with a 300 watt panel. And we're about sort of getting on to about 12:30 in the day. So yeah, we're doing all right. If I turn off my overhead lights, I think we come down to about 300 milliamps on the 12 volt side for 2 GoPros and another charger, which I think I have over here. Let's come up and have a look here. This thing's at 72%, but it only pulls about 150 milliamp to charge. And that's on the 5 volt side. So 300 milliamps on the 12 volts to charge all three of these is pretty nominal. So yeah, it's not pulling any crazy amount of charge current, so I think we're doing pretty well. So anyway, we'll check back in several hours and see what happens. Alright, well, I've just checked our battery and it's at 95%. So while we're waiting it to come up to 100, I'm going to open my technician's wallet here. I'm going to remove all my cards because you don't need to see my identity. I'm going to pick out or select a micro SD card. I have no nails today. If you're looking for one of these wallets, this is my own design, I 3D print. If you have a search on Thingiverse for technician's wallet, as keywords, you will probably find a bunch of different variations of this. So somewhere here we have the card that we want. That's the one. I'm using a little bit of blue tack here. If you're American, you've probably never used blue tack before, even though 3M, I think, or Bostik invented it. One of the two for the space program. Anyway, I have, among the cards in here, I have a nice high-speed Lexar 32 gig card. Now, I'm not sure if the SanDisk Ultras are just as fast. I've got a SanDisk Extreme as well. So, I'm not sure which one's faster, but I do know the Lexar ones do keep up with these GoPros nicely. So I'm going to whack a 32 gig in that and see how we go. We'll do a bit of filming and we'll see what the battery life's like, because I don't have really any other way to test the life of those batteries. We'll put everything back in here and we'll whack the cards here. This particular variation of this wallet has a voltmeter built into the back of it as well, but this area here I've made a little bit too thin with a printer, and I had some printing issues as well, so the next one's probably going to get an extra 1mm thickness relief on that. Alright, so we'll chuck that into our GoPro. We can probably do that whilst we are charging without any worries. Oh wait, there appears to be, oh, that's my 5. Okay, let's get my new Hero 7 and see if we can put that in there. I've been in the process of charging batteries, all these new batteries, so we're going to pull this guy out, which is one of the new ones. I'm going to whack our SD card in here, and we are probably going to do a bit of filming with the new battery. So let's leave that battery out for a minute. Let's fire up our Hero 5 and see what sort of battery it's saying we have there at the moment. So, it's saying it's running off mains. I guess that means the battery's charged. Alright, let's pull that out. There we go. 96%. Okay, that should be enough to do some testing. So we're going to whack this battery in the new Hero 7. Even though the Hero 9 has just come out. So we're going to rip this guy out. And we're going to swap her over. So we'll chuck that into the new 7, which is a little bit warm, which I have this knack for putting these things in backwards. Alright, there we go. It's in, pull that off, and let's see, we're going to fire up. Very nice and quick. I like how quick the 7s come up. So it says 98% on this one. So I'm going to do a few first time setups. I'll probably change it over to 4K. We'll do a bit of a muck around, and we might even see a clip from this one. Alright, so first crack on the Hero 7 with 4K using our super wide view, just to see if we can get in all the messiness that is my desk and all my junk laying around here. We won't go too much that way because that's where my junk pile is that fills up pretty much daily. I can have that 100% clean like this area, and within several hours it'll get full of junk. So that's doing pretty well. Although I'm noticing in the viewfinder here there's some flickering, so I'm thinking the refresh rate on these LEDs might be somewhere near the refresh rate on the GoPro. But we can have a look and we'll just muck around with a few other things on here. played with a few things. I'm not sure what the audio is like on this yet. I haven't changed the setting as to whether it's using the conductive microphone or the external one. I'm not sure. That would be within the wind compensation mode. So we might have a bit of a run around with this. So far we're doing pretty well. The battery's not going terribly flat terribly quickly. I've just passed the 1 minute mark on video. Now I know usually it's about 2% per minute on the Hero 5, so that's my reference for this. But so far it hasn't gone flat immediately, so I think the battery might have some life in it yet. So rather than go and complain that I got given a dud battery, I think I will live with this, considering I've got 2 brand new ones as well. So I'll go and run around a little bit more with this and see what we get battery life wise. Alright, so it's a little bit windy outside, and we're going to have a look at the messy back end of my Argo here, my little 8-wheel drive Argo. It might feature in another video very soon too, but this is a typical situation where I might be using this camera and where I might be mounting it. And in actual fact, there is a mount on the back frame here. There's usually one on the handlebar too, but this is a good example of where we'll be, or what sort of angle we'll be fitting with. And I like to see how we're doing. If I sit here, I should actually get a lot more in this super wide field of view. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. Looking pretty good. Of course, there's all the other military hardware I've got stashed away up here. So we're doing all right. And I'm just going to do 1 more minute, so this is about another 10 seconds on this, and we'll see what our battery's at. But at the moment we're looking about 3% per minute, which is about average, actually a little lower, but this is a new camera I haven't tried before. So let's go back inside and check the battery. Okay, so a quick bit of math said 33.33333333 minutes, or 33.33 recurring, which you guys probably knew that off the top of your head, as did I. However, there are a couple of other factors I wanted to look up whilst I did that quick equation that I already knew on the top of my head. 30 minutes or half an hour is about average what I get out of the Hero 5. Now, I have that running at 4K, 30 frames, sometimes 60 depending if I'm doing some stuff, but I turn on all the bells and whistles like motion stabilization and the different audio processing and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes I do a HDR. So that does tend to add processor time as well as reducing battery life because it uses more power. So 30 to 45 minutes is about average what I expect from that, and actually most people report when they're doing a similar thing, about 45 minutes is as long as they'll get out of it, and 30 minutes until they start overheating. In the Aussie summer, that's quite a likely thing. However, most of the time when I'm out, it's in cooler weather because of MS. With my new cooling vest, maybe I'll get out a little bit longer. In summary, I think this battery is actually probably about okay capacity-wise, maybe about 95–90%, something like that. I'm not noticing a huge difference between the other new batteries, but now that I've done that, that acts as a spare, so I can keep that old one fully charged, but as a backup, and I can use these new ones, the blue tops, in lieu of that. So I can pretty well keep myself topped up with 5 batteries and 2 GoPros. That should keep me going pretty well. So I think we're pretty well done. We're going to do 2 thumbs up for this because it's a success and we have a battery working. So yeah, I'm happy if you guys have hung around this long in the video. Most of you probably don't looking at the stats. My new YouTube manager, who is also what is it, Tinkerman Mick is his channel name. He's my new YouTube manager. He's managing all my videos, looking at all the stats. As much as I like numbers, I don't like YouTube stats. I'm not looking to make money out of this. I'm just doing it because I'm having a bit of fun doing these videos. So he is sort of taking over a lot of that stuff. According to some of my analytics, people do tend to skip through my videos a lot, and I kind of encourage that, to be honest. So yeah, I would be surprised if anybody hung around this long to hear this bit of the video. So anyway, I'm going to upload all of this stuff, put it all together in a video and show you guys right now. So hope you had fun. See you in the next video.